Please go ahead. Did we finish with you, Mr. Price? I'm sorry. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank
Ms.
you.
Garcia.
I understand the need for a coordinated effort, and, you know, we have to consider the policy considerations, the cost, absolutely the planning and the oversight of some of these IT decisions, because we've already seen some disasters when our state agencies try to roll out IT projects on their own to the tune of about $1 billion. We see that we are still paying penalties on our lack of a credible system on the child support system. We know in the state of California, if you're looking for Jose Garcia, for example, to pay child support, you'll never find them on the DMV system because their upgrade was a complete and utter failure, and it will only hit under certain classifications. We are seeing that as we move from county court systems to a state-wide system, we have a need to integrate the information system. But I am very hesitant to move forward, especially when you look back at what we've done over the last couple of years. Let's go back to the olden days when the state was in a fiscal crisis and we were, you know, between $22 billion and $30 billion in the hole, and we started eliminating state agencies. We ended up with the little Hoover Commission evaluating some of our state processes and purchasings and how we were handling some of our oversight. And we ended up merging 2 of our state data centers. We created the state chief information officer in the governor's office and the Department of Technology Services within the State and Consumer Affairs Agency. And we charged them with the responsibility of doing exactly what we are proposing to do through legislation. So in essence, I feel that we are overstepping our bounds by not giving them an opportunity to roll out a program that makes sense, when by legislative intent we gave them that responsibility and we charged them with that just a year and a half ago. And the state chief information officer, by all indications, even on the Democratic analysis, shows that he has no state preference, and their committees and subcommittees have not yet come up with this as being the best and only solution. And the Department of Technology Services has taken no position. So I think it's absolutely commendable that we want to move in a direction that allows for easier access, that allows us to make good fiscal decisions, but I think we are getting ahead of ourselves by not allowing the very agencies that we created to help us and guide us in that effort so that we don't end up with a costly mistake again. And I think that it's commendable that we've reduced this from a statewide focus down to a couple of test agencies, but again, those agencies that we are naming in this amendment have not had an opportunity to present before this committee or to even analyze these amendments to decide if they can make their agencies guinea pigs and if in fact they can put the resources into evaluating what this would do. I would recommend that we consider moving this to a 2-year bill so that we can have informational hearings, because, you know, the most I can do on my computer is do email and pay my bills online, and a lot of this stuff is way over my head, but I'm smart enough to know that we are talking about changing a systems change and a paradigm shift, and, you know, major investment in terms of how we train our staff, how we store this information, and how we shift over our current systems. And I don't think that that's a decision that should be taken lightly. We should have all of the stakeholders, you know, here letting us know what has failed in the very legislation and the agencies we've created and why this is a better fix, and if in fact we should be using real people as guinea pigs, because those agencies that say, yes, I'll line up to be one of these test agencies could be child support or, you know, CalWORK recipients, and if the system doesn't work, we're putting real people on the firing line, and I don't think that we should do that. Or I think that if we don't do informational hearings, that we should at least consider actually ordering one of these agencies to commission a study and report back to the legislature what is in the best interest of the state of California, because although Massachusetts adopted this, the state of Texas abandoned their efforts. And they looked at, you know, how costly it was going to be, the training and everything else that was going into this implementation. So I think it's too much, too soon, with real people on the firing line, oversteps our bounds. requires us to go backwards and forward at the same time. So in other words, we're staying in place. And I don't think that that's the intent of this body, and I don't think it's the intent of this committee. And so while I commend the author for being willing to reduce his focus, I am still so concerned about it that today I'm going to have a no support position, and I will not be voting on this issue. And I would urge my colleagues to do the same, or to move the bill in a direction that either A, does a study, or 2, does a 2-year bill.
Thank you, Ms. Garcia. Ms. Salas?
I agree with a lot of the points that Assemblymember Garcia made, that we have to move prudently and cautiously, because I actually worked for the EDD in the early 90s when they implemented a new computer system that was a disaster for both the job seeker and the employer. So we do have to move cautiously. However, there have been very strong arguments made for the need for us to continue forward with an open file system. So I would support the bill as amended with the demonstration project. My question is, though, that I hope that the demonstration project has a finite timeline, so that we really make sure that the demonstration project is fully supported and focused on, and that we make sure that we're having a study that doesn't prolong this discussion for years and years and years.